Rome, AD 2. The most powerful man in the world sits down to write a letter, not to a general, not to a senator, but to his adopted son and heir. And in that letter, the mighty Emperor Augustus doesn't talk about war, politics, or power. Instead, he calls his son, "My little donkey." It's a rare glimpse into the softer side of a man remembered as the founder of the Roman Empire. So, what was the story behind this letter? And what happened to the boy he loved so dearly? Let's take a look. Augustus, born Gaius Octavius in 63 BC, rose to power after the assassination of his great-uncle and adoptive father, Julius Caesar, in 44 BC. At just 18 years old, Octavian, as he was then known, was completing his academic and military studies in Apollonia when his great-uncle was assassinated. After returning to Italy, he discovered that Julius Caesar had adopted him in his will and made him his heir. Over years of political maneuvering, civil wars and alliances, he dismantled the crumbling Roman Republic and, in 27 BC, became the first emperor of Rome, taking the name Augustus. But unlike Julius Caesar, who made himself a dictator, Augustus chose to keep up the appearance of the old republic. He allowed traditional institutions to continue, which made him very popular with the people and the Senate. He was careful never to call himself emperor or king. Instead, he referred to himself as Rome's princeps, meaning first citizen or first among equals. By the time of this letter, Augustus had ruled for over 4 decades. His leadership transformed Rome into an expanding empire of unprecedented size and power. But despite his success, Augustus faced a personal challenge. He had no surviving biological sons to inherit his empire. Augustus had one daughter, Julia, who had married his close childhood friend Marcus Agrippa, who was a military genius and led the fleet that defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra. The union between Agrippa and Julia produced 2 boys, Gaius and Lucius Caesar. Augustus adopted his grandsons Gaius and Lucius because in Roman society, power and status were not automatically passed down through birthright. He had to adopt them as his sons and heirs to ensure the continuation of his dynasty. The boys were groomed from a young age to carry the weight of the empire, receiving the best education, public honours, and military training Rome could offer. By AD 2, Gaius Caesar, now a young man of 20, had been dispatched on an official inspection tour of the eastern provinces, which was designed to prepare him for leadership. It was during this absence that Augustus, on his 64th birthday, wrote a deeply personal letter to his heir. He said, "Greetings, my dear Gaius, my dearest little donkey, whom, so help me, I constantly miss whenever you are away from me, but especially on such days as today. My eyes are eager for my Gaius, and wherever you have been today, I hope you have celebrated my 64th birthday in health and happiness. For as you see, I have passed the climacteric common to all old men, the 63rd year. And I pray the gods that whatever time is left to me, I may pass with you safe and well, with our country in a flourishing condition, while you are playing the man and preparing to succeed to my position." The nickname, "My Little Donkey," was a term of endearment, revealing a tender, fatherly side of Augustus rarely seen in the stories about powerful emperors. It's a reminder that beyond the titles and the politics, he was a man who loved his family. Gaius was far from home, learning what it meant to command and govern. But as fate would have it, neither Gaius or his brother Lucius would live to inherit the empire that Augustus had built. Lucius Caesar died first in AD 2, at just 18 years old, from a sudden illness while travelling in Massilia, which is now Marseille in France. His death was a devastating blow to Augustus. Then, in AD 4, Gaius Caesar, so lovingly called Little Donkey, was mortally wounded during a campaign in Armenia. Although he lingered for months, he died from his injuries in Lycia, on his way back to Italy at the age of 23 or 24. Augustus was crushed. The hopes he had poured into his adopted sons died with them. Augustus, who had ruled longer than any leader before him, was forced to turn once again to family to solve the succession crisis. In the end, it was his stepson Tiberius, never his first choice, who became his heir and the next emperor of Rome. But in that letter, written on his 64th birthday, we catch a rare glimpse of Augustus the father, not the emperor, reminding us that even the most powerful men in history were, above all, human. He was a man longing for his son, full of hope for a future that, tragically, was never meant to be. Thank you for joining me on Historical Chronicles. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thank you for watching. See you next time.